better together. And me never put my flesh above creator. Or that I'm always floating above the water. At times me only selfish, only giving to pleasure. My ways always seem so much better. I have turned away from truth to the point where my actions that hurt my family members. Because thinking it easy. If I glance to the wave them, I need to only but destruction. If I listen to Satan, me got count how many times that I have listened to Satan. But Jesus Christ I lift me up again. So want me I go look upon me brother. Me rather stretch a helping hand and try to be saving. Cause I have lied and I've cheated and this job I have did it. I have stolen and murdered. Say my heart full of greed, fornicated and coveted and not respecting them. See my own pain, disrespect to Jesus then. But your mercy and grace is sufficient. Even though say me really don't deserve it. That is why Jah alone He is perfect. And His sacrifice has shown me that I'm worth it. So when something at the building at the church then me have to show the love to the burden. Cause when something feeling burden, Jah no one nobody start to throw the stones then.
Just wanna take some time to say something that's been on my mind. And the importance of the man named daddy. I mean not talk about just having a baby. No, no. So me talk about the real man. Now flip the scene where the good days are bad come. Hey, shape up and take care of his own. And him respect the one who fi sit on the throne. So me pick up all me father them. So me real true father them. Children, I work hard to fend for your family. I miss a big up on me father them. I say me real true father them. Take care of your children. Jehovah said, give honor to whom honor is due. So me just want to pick up the good fathers in the world. This one is dedicated to you. Though it's hard, man, stay positive, you bring the food back a yard, man. Oh, live by example everywhere that you go, like Chris Martin. Me really want to be like so me you. Pick up on me father them. Say me real true father them. Take care of your children and work and defend for your family. I miss a pick up on me father them. I say me real true father them. Take care of your children and not run from responsibility. And there's no way that I can ever leave all the Most High, Jehovah God.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings to the world. Greetings to St. Lucian people all over listening. Welcome to another episode of Music Mind. Last week we were not there. We sent out a brief message, but we are doing fine. We are all right, and I'm trusting that you are doing fine as well. My name is Shem Meluce, and seated next to me is my wife.
I am Shem Meluce.
Okay, so today it's a great day. We had a wonderful day today. It's bright and sunny in the beautiful island of St. Lucia. And today we're going to be speaking briefly a lot about something which is affecting the world, affecting us as human beings, our mouth, our tongues, the things that we say or the things that we don't say, whatever it is. So today we'll be speaking about speech, negative and positive speech. But before we do that, we recognize that we're nearing the end of the year. We're nearing the end of the year. A lot of things are coming up. A lot is taking place. And sad to say, it's just the reality. This might just be our last formal session of Music Mind for this year. We will commence as soon as everything gets clear in the new year and get back swinging. That does not mean we won't be on. I may just come on and just do some nice music, whatever it is, but officially this will be our final one for this year. We have a lot of things that we must tell you. We are extending. I am actually supposed to be giving birth. I am pregnant. So this is one of the reasons why we will be taking a small sabbatical. Some of you all may not even recognize that, but we are going to share this with you. I am pregnant, and as a result, I will be taking some time off just to go through the process of delivering a wonderful little Meluce. So don't ask us the gender. We don't know. We are seriously unsure about that, so we are awaiting a surprise. And this is just what it is.
Yeah, so welcome to essentially the final formal session episode of Music Mind. And yes, for those of you who knew, and for those of you who figured it out.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Yes.
Yes, some of you figured it out because you know me personally that I am not so large, I suppose.
You could see it
on my nose. But yes, we are expecting, and like he said, he's going to take that little sabbatical to give birth. So hopefully he has a safe delivery. But welcome. Hopefully this session will be one which has all of us to reflect. I think it is quite fitting right now in the times that we are living in. It could be very times of great despair, but I think our speech can have a lot to do with bringing things to a different dimension for us. So this is where we are at, and we're going to be speaking on positive versus negative speech.
Okay, so here we have it, negative and positive speech. So if you are just coming in, welcome. Welcome to everyone here, and to even persons who will be listening later on. So today we are speaking about negative versus positive speech. And then we want to go straight into it. What is it? What would we call a negative speech? If we could reason to that, give your synopsis as to that. What is negative speech?
Well, negative speech is basically, we all know what speech is. We speak on a daily basis. Once we have the ability to speak, we speak. So basically, negative speech is speaking things that are not positive, or basically speaking negativity, or speaking using words like I cannot or I will not, or words of a very negative that have very negative connotations. I was reading something, and it said that you could say, for example, someone is elderly, and you could say someone is mature in age, and one of those, so the elderly has a more negative connotation versus if someone says, oh, this person is mature in age, so you seem to view that person as someone who has gone through a process of life, someone who has matured to a point in their life where maybe you could reflect and you could see them in a whole different light, as opposed to saying that person is elderly, which basically connotates that this person is old and weary. So yeah, so I was reading that, and it was quite interesting that sometimes we make those statements and we don't even think about what we're saying. But yes, stating that the person is old is an example of negative speech. It is negative speech.
Now I could argue that and say this is not necessarily negative speech, but it's a nice example with play of words and using the right words for the right situations. For example, I believe a child could be said to be speaking maturely, or have a mature composure about themselves. Being an elder means you have reached age. That's just based on number. But yeah, that's pretty much a very good example as it relates to how to use words and why and when.
Yes. So it's not only making statements, but only thinking about how the other person will interpret what you have stated.
Right. So I am thinking negative. I will go a little further when it speaks to negative speech, and I think negative speech would be terms and words used really to desecrate an individual that could intentionally. So it's something that would be used intentionally to bring someone down. For sure by telling this person you are stupid. Will definitely trouble your self-image and whatever it is. So we want to be able to define it in that way so we understand, because those things are really going on in our world today, among our people, in everything that we do. We have those things, and negative speech would be something like this.
It's interesting you say that. That's a very good explanation for negative speech, and it has very dire consequences. I've heard a lot of parents speak these kinds of terms, these kinds of way towards their children, and they tend not to realize that whatever they're speaking, and I think later on we'll get into that, but whatever they're speaking, they're actually pronouncing on that child's life. And you wonder, but why is this child behaving that way? You would find they would say, this child will amount to nothing. And in our Creole, if you say that, it comes out even more harsh than the English. So when those children turn out the way that they turn out, you tend to wonder. And the parents tend to wonder, but where does that child take it from? But they don't recognize that the negative speech that they have pronounced over the child's life has manifest, and we have a lot of power in our speech.
So definitely, if you are just coming in, we are speaking today about speech, negative and positive speech, negative versus positive speech. And we are saying that negative speech really is the use of words in a derogatory way, in a way to bring down an individual, to make them feel less of, less than, if you're doing it with the children, more than less than. So it really is to bring an individual down to make them know for sure that they are not in that place, you are not in that class, you are not in that thing. So negative speech has an based on terms like that. But we want to ask a question as we continue with negative speech. Is there an effect? And you started talking about it. Is there an effect? And who is most affected by negative speech? Is there a special person, a special type of person that get affected by negative speech? That we want to speak about and find out if there is a special class of persons that is affected more than others.
Well, I think certainly negative speech has a lot of negative implications on the individual receiving that negative speech. So it could be that, I mean, that there are times when we speak negatively of ourselves. So you say, I am ugly, I mean nothing, I am worthless, so we speak negatively of our upbringing. I think it has a lot to do with upbringing. I will explain. As one grows, as one develops, the brain is so designed to recognize certain things and to respond to it in a particular way. For example, when you are growing up, the brain, as it matures, it recognizes if you were to encounter fear or if you were to encounter anger, it would recognize that and you would respond to it in a particular way. What scientists have discovered is whenever you encounter a negative emotion, it narrows your thinking and it brings you to a place where you focus on overcoming that emotion. So for example, if you are encountering a tiger, you see your brain registers tiger, the first thing that comes to your mind is for you to save yourself, flight. Get out of that situation. Now in that circumstance you might have various options, but because your brain is so tailored to get out of that situation, you might not see all of the options that might exist. There may be an option to climb a tree, there may be an option to swim across a river, there may be several options, but the first option you will go to is the one where once your brain narrows down, you might just run. Right. And you get away from that situation. You might not want to come face to face with what you're dealing with. So as you grow up, that instinct is there. It is inbred. It is an innate instinct that we all have. We have all been born with it. And it was more necessary in the time of the cavemen. As we become more civilized, that instinct kind of slowly, it is not as necessary, but it is the whole response, it is there, it remains. And so if an individual is constantly bombarded with that kind of negativity, the situations that they encounter will constantly be dealt with in that particular manner.
Okay, so wonderful, beautifully said. If you are just tuning in, we are speaking about negative and positive, negative versus positive speech and its effect on individuals, its effect on humanity. So I just asked the question as to who is most affected, and the responses that we are getting is that basically everyone is affected, and it is also said that you can inflict that whole thing upon yourself. Yes. Say I'm not good enough. So you could be your own chastiser, basically, and you could feel the whole pain of you inflicting that on yourself. However, as we think about it, I am thinking that an adult may have a better resistance. Now, it depends on the type of adult. So say, for instance, I grew up, I was nurtured to be strong-willed and understand my purpose and everything like that. Maybe at some point someone tried to bring me down, and that does not affect me as much. However, I think that if one gets that type of vibe, that negativity as a child, right, you'd find that there's a problem. That child is being nurtured to just feel inferior from a tender age. So I'm thinking that within that age range, from a child growing up, they call you dummy, they call you ignorant, you fool. Is that, and every teaching experience in the long run. Well, even at the very moment. Prior to that, I said, say for instance, I am being raised, I'm confident in what I do, what I say, and persons come and try to bring me down. It might not affect me. But I'm thinking, can that be dependent on who is saying it, who is doing the damage? So maybe I'm so confident in myself, yes, I am. But I am hearing it from someone that I believe, or someone I look up to, someone I expect better from, or whatever. Maybe, just maybe, two things could happen. I could just say, oh, I never realized this person was such a joker, this person was such a this, that, and maybe use some negative speech myself, which is still the problem. But without this part, I am thinking that depending on who is doing the damage, the how you view this individual, it could affect you even in a stage where you feel that you are mature.
Well, that is true. That is true, and I think for example, in relationships, what might affect me, me might not affect. Okay, let me rephrase that. You as my partner, you as my husband might say something to me, and it might just tear me apart. But some other outsider, total stranger, might say the same thing, and it might not affect me the same way. And that is because we attribute certain expectations to individuals based on our level of relationship with them.
True.
So it is very true what you're saying. If that person is very close to us, and it could be also if a stranger says something, it may affect you more, depending on, it also depends on the nature of what is being said as well. If a stranger makes a statement, it might affect you so much, but someone who's close to you would say the same thing, and it might not affect you that much. So it depends on the nature of what is being said, the connotation behind it, and how you think of yourself in
oppression. So here we have based on who says it, based on how you hate, what is done, what is not done, it creates that whole thing. So this is interesting. Let me go through that again. You say something about someone. I say something about you. You hate. So it's a verbal abuse. That's one thing. Then you say something about someone. The person doesn't hate. So I spoke about you to somebody else. Someone that maybe used to look up to you highly and regard you as and raise you up to a prestigious place. And as soon as this person got to know that information about you, they start to react differently. You start to wonder now what is going on, why.
Right.
It affects you in a way. And that gossip does that kind of thing. And the third one, you say something negative or hurtful about someone, which allows spiritual forces. And this is what I think we were speaking about earlier when we said, you fool, it comes to that. So yes, we are talking about negative and positive speech. So yes, how can you determine when negative speech is being used?
Well, that is a tricky one. The reason I say that is because sometimes people may use terms, and we live in a very vast cultural space. Individuals can experience culture in several cultures within one space.
Yes.
So what might be seen or connotated as negative in one culture might not necessarily connotate as negative in another culture.
True.
So in that light, it might be very difficult for, even though I receive it as negative. However, there are certain cues that people use. Some people can be very, very calm and piercing. So they will say what they say very calmly, but very piercingly. So they make the statement, and the statement can pierce right through you. There is no real emotion in it. But in other instances, which could be very easy to detect, the tone that is used in itself can tell you basically that this is negative and not something positive. The situation or the circumstance that bring out that response in itself can be a determining factor as well. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to do your homework and you cannot get it done, you're really struggling, and your mother is helping you, your mother is starting to get frustrated, and your mother starts to get agitated and then makes a statement, and that statement is towards you, then more often than not it will be in a both positive sense and in a negative sense. You can be ignorant of that particular issue, but that does not make you an ignorant individual. And so the manner in which the words are used is everything. We will know something, a little bit of everything, or not even necessarily everything.
Something, just to be able to communicate though.
But we really aren't totally educated to the height of education on every single topic.
True.
So we should never really feel that we need to be at that level. However, there is something that you are not ignorant about. But if someone says you are ignorant on the whole, then you should be worried about that. But if someone says you are ignorant about this particular topic, for it to be negative speech, you have to see the context within which it is used, the situation, and see the tone that is used within that situation.
So beautiful. We are talking about negative and positive speech, and we understand the power of words, the power of speech. And yes, we are saying similarly, just like how the Bible's mentioned that, similarly, just like how you'd put a bridle in the mouth of a horse to guide it. Words guide you, whether negatively or positively. And so the use of the word, you may have the intention for the negative word to guide one positively, positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. We know about those things. Now you may have that intention, so the motive may be good, but the outcome might just be bad. So we want to be careful as to how we use the words, our paraverbals, our tones, because we can even be sarcastic while using nice words too. And then really our intention is to still hurt.
Right.
So yes, let me throw that in there, because you may use
It's true. It's true.
words that are truly nice, that are truly positive, but intentionally they become negative because the paraverbals, and when I talk about the paraverbals, it is how you use your words, the one you weigh on some more, the one you stress on a little more. It brings, and
If positive speech is the opposite of that, we expect that positive speech would be a speech that really uplifts an individual, that uplifts their mood, their emotion, and makes them feel good about themselves, that would encourage positivity in their entire life. So that would be what positive speech is. And I said earlier, there are words that could be used in a positive, with words with positive connotation versus words with negative connotation.
also be a part of their vocabulary to encourage, to speak life, to speak blessings, to encourage their counterparts and even older persons. A source to change even the adults that are doing the negative speech. Exactly. as we think about it. And we want to say that the Bible speaks a lot about that, and it speaks about a soft answer, turn away wrath. But grievous words stir up anger. And grievous words, what is that? Negative speech. But a soft answer, one that is guided, your words are chosen correctly. It is spoken in love, not in anger, no aggression. Then you understand that the scripture endorses the use of positive.
Matthew 12:34, it says, "How can you speak good things when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." And earlier I spoke of thoughts when with the law of attraction. Sometimes we think things and you wonder, but how can thought translate to speech? Basically, whatever you are thinking, and the scripture talks about out of the abundance of the heart, which basically talks to our thought life, what we are thinking about. If you are speaking a particular kind of way, every word that comes out of your mouth is some sort of negativity. Every word that comes out of your mouth is some sort of criticism. That is what lies within your thoughts. And so the scripture is telling us this is what we're going to experience if this is what our thoughts are. This is what we're going to speak.
Most definitely, as you say this, because the reason is the words that we speak, it's spiritual. Anything that you cannot see, that you cannot touch, it's a spiritual thing. So you cannot see my words. You could only hear it. I am speaking there through my voice box. You cannot catch my words. You could only record it, but still you just have to hear it. And so that makes it spiritual, just as our thoughts. Hence the reason why you read the scripture and Christ was saying, no longer when you commit adultery that you are doing it. Once you think about it, you have already done it.
Yes.
So in like manner, if you're doing something good, you would have thought about it before executing it. And so we need to recognize those things that we are doing. We need to recognize our input in good, our input in bad, and we can choose. We could make a choice, and through the help of God, we could definitely go through with this. So today we have been speaking about negative and positive speech, and like we said, we seem to be having some issues as it relates to the strength of the network. I'm not sure if it's on this end or the person's end. I just received a message saying this, but we are also letting you know that this day today is our final official Music Mind for the year, and we hope to be back in the new year stronger, better, and more live. And if you're just tuning in, like I said, I'm going in and have a little Meluce, and so we will introduce you to little Meluce in due time. So yes, we've been speaking about positive and negative speech, and I just want to say one thing, because we don't want to keep it too long today, because again we are having problems with how much the buffering is messing us up. And I don't know if it's oppression, I don't know if it's gossip, if it's negative speech, but we remain positive, remain thankful that it will still be there and persons will be able to view it, and once you get the time, do that. But Luke 6:43-45 says, "For there is no good tree which produces bad fruit, nor, on the other hand, a bad tree which produces good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they pick grapes from a briar bush. The good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil man of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil. For his mouth speaks from that which fills his heart." So today I want to leave this scripture with you to know, to differentiate who you are. Are you the good man or are you the bad man? Are you an apple tree? Are you a thorn tree? Choose to be an apple tree. Choose to be an orange tree that you may produce good fruit. Choose to be a fig tree. But all I'm saying, whatever tree that you desire to be, just be a good tree. Now, moving from a tree, forget about being a tree, but whatever individual that you desire to be that individual that will bring about a change for the better. Be that person that when one sees, when one looks up to you, will say, listen, I see the glory of God in this individual. I could go to this individual because I trust this individual will give me sound counsel. That individual will chastise me, but in the right direction.
Right.
And so we want to be that person. So the encouragement today, Luke 6:43-45, apply it to yourself and choose to be that individual that will bring about the change. And so we could have a better society. And if you definitely need help to be that better individual.
Discussions putting into marriage and in
Life.
yes, and life in general with relationships and so on. In marriage mind, which is different from music mind. So music mind, we touch social issues, spiritual issues, basically making music with your mind.
Yeah.
And engaging music, because we know music is all about worship and upliftment.